Alright, so this is going to be an interesting video for me to make for a couple reasons. And today, what I wanted to talk about was kind of my experience with uploading daily and a lot of the things I learned from it, which I think could be helpful to a wide variety of people, because on the surface, it's like, obviously, I could talk about kind of the content side of it and what I learned from that. But I also think it goes beyond that in a lot of ways. And I think it would be very helpful to certain people to know a lot of the stuff that I've learned from doing these daily uploads. And so, yeah, I might as well just start with it. So basically, I think I didn't research this before. I probably should have. But I believe that my first of the daily uploads was October 12th. And when you're watching this video, it should be, if I didn't fuck it up, it should be November 30th, which is the last day of November. And after this video, I am not going to upload daily anymore. Which, there's probably no person that's in a Walmart right now that is on their knees screaming no about that decision. Because there aren't really a lot of people that are watching these. There are some that get some views here and there. But generally speaking, most of these don't get any views, which I'll go back into later. But yeah, I guess I'm happy because I honestly didn't know if I was gonna do it for long, and there were some days where I was almost like, maybe it's just time to break it, just not give a fuck anymore, and just whatever. I missed a day, but I know what happens with my daily streaks where I miss a day, or like I'm just really busy and I'm like, I'm just really tired, I'm not gonna do it. And then I never get back onto it. And I did not want that to end on those terms. So I kept going. And I've made the decision now that I'm going to stop for reasons I'll talk about in a little bit. But I guess the first thing that I would say is that I am happy with kind of how it ended up. And I'll talk about it more later as well. But I think the big thing this really showed me is that I can actually upload consistently, because that was really my biggest problem. I was very consistent at being inconsistent, because on my main channel, I remember like in 2023, I was like trying to get like a video every month, and then like some of them were like kind of past the cutoff, but like it was still close enough. And then it just kind of all fell apart in 2024 because I was so focused on making these big projects that I kind of just, yeah. I basically missed the forest for the trees, I guess. I think that analogy works. Because I had this grand vision of, or maybe it's the opposite way. Maybe I'm missing the trees for the forest. I have this grand vision of ideas that I want to make, things I want to do, and I just end up doing none of them because I'm so focused on this forest vision that I'm not focused on the individual trees themselves. I'm not focused on building up each individual tree. And that was really a big problem for me. And so the fact that I have kind of become consistent, and I've constantly, every day, I'm planting a new tree. I'm uploading a new video, to kind of bridge the analogy there. I'm uploading something new every single day. And some days it was very low effort. Some days it was literally me just driving to work with the phone in the cup holder and just talking about some random shit. Just talking about how, like, if my partner was religious, would I be religious too? I guess so. Like, that video was, and that thumbnail was like unhinged. I was like, it'd be a really funny thumbnail is if I drew like a woman and I made like a text that said "would smash" or something, and I just went with it. I went with it, and it's a little unhinged, but it was pretty funny. I think that's like my only dislike on the entire channel. uh, but I did really learn that I can do it. I can upload consistently. I can upload every day. And it's not easy, but I can. And I made it a point to do it every single day. Some days I came home from work tired as shit, and I still did it. So, I think that really spoke to the fact that it's not just some fucking unicorn. I can upload every day consistently. But this was kind of something I thought about while I was thinking about making this video, is that it kind of clicked with me with some of the problems I have with daily streaks, and especially when it comes to this type of stuff, because I feel like it becomes very results based. And I feel like that's the thing with doing daily things. It becomes very results based. And that, to me, was something that I didn't like. Because it felt like I had to keep uploading videos every day, because it's like, well, I need to upload the video because, you know, that's the result, right? And sometimes short-term goals are good, where it's like, hey, I'm going to upload this video today. And it's good to have short-term goals, because if you don't have short-term goals, you are just going to, you know, you're not going to know what to do with your day every day. But it's also important to have long-term goals as well. And now that I just like thought about this a little bit, I didn't put this in my notes, which I'll come back to a little later. But I just thought about it. There was a video when I was kind of like getting a little interested in piano, and I was just thinking about dipping my toes into it. And so I just ended up watching this video about like how to learn piano. And there's this one part where he starts talking about just like setting goals and like how to basically do anything. And some of it really delves into that, where it's like you need to have I think it's short-term goals, and then like medium goals, and then the long-term goals, or something like that. But there was like 3 types of goals, and each of them represents kind of a point in time where you have a goal to do. And so some of it might just be like very basic stuff. Might be, okay, here's my short-term goal of I'm gonna play 3 lines of music or something. I don't know. I can't fully remember. But the point was that he kind of showcased basically how to do anything in life. And a lot of it is really about structuring those goals. And so to kind of bring it back to where this video is, right? What this video is talking about. I felt like my emphasis really became on short-term goals, and that was a big problem. And I'll delve into it a little more later as well. But it felt like doing the daily videos, it was just so results-based. It was so focused on, okay, I have to upload this video today. I have to upload this video today. I have to make videos to upload so I can upload them, you know, every day, because I don't want to break the streak. And I just don't like it being so results-based. And I feel like early on, when you are, before I was barely uploading anything, and the fact that now I started uploading consistently, it really was rewarding. It felt good to be uploading consistently, and it felt like I was really doing something, and it was nice. Like, I think probably like 2 weeks in or something to it, which it went for about a month and a half, so roughly like 6 weeks. The first like 2 weeks, it felt so good to keep uploading those videos. It was like, dude, holy shit, I'm still going. It's awesome. And I just kept going and going and going, but eventually it just got to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, I gotta upload another video today, I guess, whatever. You know, or I'm making these videos and I'm just thinking, okay, I gotta record this. I don't even know what to record, but I gotta record something because I gotta upload. And I think that's kind of where it went, and part of what made it feel so bad. And the results-based stuff worked in the beginning. It was like, okay, I'm uploading things consistently. It feels good. And then as it went on, it just kind of felt like more of a necessity, maybe, and less of like a, yes, I did it, and more of like a, okay, yep, it's done, whatever. And that's not something I wanted to feel with this. And also my phone just went to sleep, so that's great. Yeah. But so that, I think, was one of the big things about this, I don't want to call it a challenge, but it was essentially my plan was, I'm going to upload consistently. I'm going to upload every day. And it worked in the beginning. But I feel like I've reached a point where it just no longer feels rewarding. It no longer feels interesting. It no longer feels as good to upload stuff every day. And that kind of makes me want to stop. But yeah, I guess I kind of structured this in a different way, but I think I'm going to change it a little bit. So to kind of tie into that, I feel like one of the things I really was interested in with this challenge was if I just make what is called so-called slop content, how would my channel go? Because I felt like my inconsistency was a huge problem for YouTube, because I feel like YouTube really rewards people that are constantly putting out content. So like every day, you know, doing a daily thing, you get views, because basically you're telling the YouTube algorithm, hey, I am going to make something every day at this time. And, you know, if you are looking for videos to push, you know, tomorrow I'm going to make another video at this time. And that, I think, was a really a big idea in my head, was like, I want to see what happens if I keep uploading daily. And basically what I found is that maybe that's not the right approach. And I mean, it's not like you can't succeed by uploading daily. Obviously you can. There are a lot of channels that do it. But I think part of my problem is that I wasn't putting enough effort into the daily stuff, because I was just kind of speaking into a microphone and calling it a day. So that was kind of a problem for me. They really were not as interesting as a more well thought out idea could be. And also part of my plan when I started this was that I was going to make them kind of structured, but, you know, just have bullet points and just talk through the bullet points. And I would often just get really off track and just, I made a whole fucking list of notes for that 25-year-old loser video. And I would look at them a little bit at the beginning, and then I just stopped completely, like probably halfway through the video, maybe even earlier. I just stopped looking at them completely, and I was like, yeah, I didn't even fucking use these. And I think that not having like little notes or something, or at least just something to keep me on track, was a problem. It was a real problem. And especially because some of these ideas that just popped in my head, and I was like, oh, I want to talk about that. So I'd start talking about it. And then I would just kind of forget some of the things that were big ideas I had in my head for this in the beginning. And that, it made the videos rambly and boring. And I think the YouTube algorithm probably doesn't like that, because there were some times where I would just start the video and I'd be like, all right, God damn it, I'm getting a phone call. Okay. Give me like 5 minutes, I guess. Uh, so I totally forgot where I was, which is probably a good thing that I have this. Yeah, so I was talking about the slop content thing. So basically, I don't entirely remember what the hell I was talking about because I was just in a phone call for like 20 minutes. But as I was trying to say, I think probably, I kind of just realized slop content is not the way. It just doesn't work, at least for me. And I feel like part of that is I don't really know what makes some of it interesting to people. And I think there are a couple good examples that I've actually mentioned in previous videos. I mentioned the Snooks guy who he made that how I woke up as a 35-year-old loser video, and I found it really interesting, and I just started watching his stuff. And his video was like very kind of similar but very low effort, but also in a sense, right? He I believe he like had notes for that video and stuff. And I think he also is much better at speaking than I am. Cuz I mean usually I'm not really much of a guy that speaks like at all. I'm usually very silent. So when I'm speaking it's a little difficult for me to speak. And also, you know, the tongue-tied thing, like all that shit, right? I just have a hard time speaking. And so I think that that's really a big advantage he has because I know he mentioned at one point, like, he did a lot of stand-up comedy. And I think doing stand-up comedy like that probably helps a lot. Probably helps a lot when it comes to, you know, speaking. So, that's something that I kind of had a lot of issues with. I also mentioned that Henny 117 guy. He made the video about computer science, which I just like uploaded the video about kind of recently. And that video I thought was pretty good. And it kind of was another one of those like, you know, low effort, just I'm turning on the camera, I'm saying shit, and that's it. And I feel like there's a real sense of like genuineness from that I mean I guess exists in my videos too, but I think a lot of it, I think it maybe my videos are just not as clickable for some reason. Maybe like I'm just not as good at thumbnails and titles. But also I think that there is a lot of like there's ways that it's presented and things that are like kind of said, like the way that they're communicating their thoughts. And especially like I think charisma is kind of a big thing that I just don't have. And I think that really makes a lot of the difference. And also, like I said too, when like I would start some of the videos and I would just kind of be like, what was I talking about? Yeah, I was talking about, oh yeah. And then like, it takes me like 10 seconds. And people are gonna click off the video by then. Nobody gives a fuck when, you know, you click the video and the guys just go, so that I feel like was something that I lacked a lot of. And I think it's why my quote unquote slop content never really panned out in that sense. And it kind of feels like I was putting in this time and I wasn't really getting much out of it, which to be fair, I was. There are things that I did get out of it. Because, for example, I got better at speaking a little bit. So, you know, and now this is not such a big deal for me as it used to be before, where it was like, oh shit, like this is a major deal. Me fucking talking about shit in my car when people could be walking by, or I could be talking about, you know, more personal shit. And now it's just like, whatever. But, fuck, there's something else that just popped in my head and I forgot. But so it kind of feels like that all that time, it kind of didn't amount to as much as I wanted to. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I also did kind of just want this to be like a passion thing. It wasn't like I'm trying to chase YouTube views or anything. But it just feels like now I'm not really getting that much out of continuing this. And I guess it's sort of like when you maybe learn a language or something at first. Because at first when you learn a language, it's like, okay, I'm learning basic words. I'm learning how to say cat. I'm learning how to say, I want to go somewhere or something like that. But eventually language goes from very basic stuff. You're learning the symbols. You're learning the words. You're learning the sentence structure and the grammar. It goes from that to I'm trying to write like sentences and I'm trying to have like real conversations with native speakers. And that's kind of a big jump. And I think that's kind of what's happened here because I've gotten okay at I know I can upload videos consistently now. I'm not gonna go out here and record like 3 of these and upload them consistently. But to me, I want to expand upon that and really try to make something that's more of value, at least to other people, right? Something that's not just a guy rambling about shit in his car that nobody wants to listen to. I want it to be something that actually is meaningful and like interesting and I feel good making it, not just not just like, okay, I'm doing this just to upload another video. So I think that kind of explains a lot about what I think of the slop content. And I don't think slop content, I think you can succeed doing slop content, as I said. But I think I just was not successful with the slop content idea, probably for a large variety of those reasons I mentioned. And so I also felt like another big problem I had with making these daily videos was kind of, I talked about it a lot where the passion kind of started out high and I felt good making those videos at the start. But I feel like towards the end, especially the past couple weeks, I've really just been phoning it in. And I mentioned it in that pixel art video that I made as well. Just how I kind of started phoning it in eventually, because it's like at the start, you're really improving and you can see your improvement and you can feel your improvement and you're doing good. And then you kind of hit this trough of like having low energy and you don't really want to put in a ton of work and you're tired and, but you still want to keep doing it. So you're doing it and it's not really amounting to anything. And you're just kind of phoning it in just to be like, well, I did it for the day, but you didn't really do anything for the day. That's the problem. Okay. I gotta finish this video in half an hour. I got Thanksgiving dinner coming in half an hour. Let me just send this text real quick. Okay. But I will finish this video. And I will make it structured, generally speaking, unless I get text or phone call. I can't believe I got a random phone call. I have to say it. Like, I'm just fucking sitting there. I'm saying my piece. And he calls me, man. Swear to God, that guy calls me at the worst times. And like 80% of the time, it's in the shower. 80% of the time, I'm taking a shower. Doesn't matter if I'm taking it at fucking 5 in the morning, 10 in the morning, fucking 3 p.m., 8 p.m. This motherfucker calls me all the time. I don't get it. How does he keep doing it? Like, I swear, does he have cameras in my bathroom or something? Like, what the fuck? But anyways, back to what I was saying. Got off topic there. Which, funnily enough, is what I'm also going to talk about here in a minute. But, very similar to that pixel art video, I just feel like I really started phoning it in. And I was just making stuff for the sake of keeping the streak alive. And it felt like it wasn't really meaningful at all. And so at some point it's like, well, maybe I should just let the streak die so that I can focus on doing better stuff. And I feel like my focus in these videos has really decreased over time, as I just kind of was talking about there. And particularly, I have this topic list, which is where a lot of these notes that I'm going off of right now are from. I had this topic list that I one day I just came up with this big list of topics. And here's the thing. I've gotten through some of them, but there's a lot of them that I just never bothered with. And I think there's two main reasons for that. I think the first is that I just was scared to talk about them. For like example, for the loneliness video that I made a while ago. I made that video, or I had the idea to make that video, and I never did it because I was just like, it feels kind of awkward to talk about loneliness when you're in public, that sort of thing. Or, I don't know, like, for example, like porn addiction or something, right? If I made a video talking about, like, yeah, I'm addicted to porn, I'm, like, watching, babes get fucked on the daily or something. And I'm just saying that, like, in public. It just felt really awkward to do that. But I really got over that by making these daily videos. And even just, like, that 25-year-old loser video I made. That really... It has kind of faded a little bit. And you would think I would be able to now orate those topics effectively, right? But the problem is the second point, which is that it's not just that I was kind of afraid to do them, but then eventually it became, well, it's been so long, I don't remember why I put that topic in there in the first place. So, for example, I could use the loneliness thing as an example. There was probably some ideas in my head of what I wanted to talk about in that video, but it was like a month or so later, maybe like 2 months even later, and I realized I don't remember what I was talking or what my idea was in the first place when I wrote that down. I just kind of wrote down loneliness and then just left it at that. And that's not great. That's not great. To fucking just lose the train of thought, and then you're just sitting there like, well, I don't really remember what I was supposed to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it. So that was a serious problem. Just, it was unstructured, and I couldn't remember what I was talking about. And so I really just, the videos were not very focused, and they were just kind of on whatever was on my mind, and sometimes they weren't really much at all. They were literally just slop, to be honest. And so I felt like maybe I should stop. And I also think that something else I really learned from those videos, which I've been trying to get better at, is just that I really struggle with talking. And I've gotten better over time. It used to be way worse. But I still feel like there are times where I could talk a lot better than I am. With, for example, pausing sometimes. Sometimes I pause a lot. Sometimes it's not my fault when I get a phone call or a text or whatever. But I feel like I pause a little too much sometimes. Which also, it's like human. Like, you're supposed to pause when you talk. It's not just like you start a sentence and then you immediately start the next sentence and you immediately start the next sentence. It's gonna be word salad. So it's like there does need to be some pausing. But I feel like sometimes I would literally pause and just pause for like 10 seconds or something. Or like 5 seconds. And that's a long time in a video that, is maybe only 20 minutes long. That's that's a decent chunk of it. But, so, I feel like talking is a big thing. And I think I really needed to be more concise with what I'm saying instead of just repeating myself a million times. Or, just kind of going off topic in a bunch of different ways or saying things over and over again. And I also think that part of it was the topics themselves, because I feel like I wrote down those topics and I was like, those topics are interesting. And then I started actually talking about the topics and I realized they're not really that interesting, actually. So I don't know. But also, I think another big reason why I kind of want to stop doing these daily videos is simply because as I mentioned in the last video, I really want to refine my schedule, and I think that they are kind of the problem in a way, because I basically have to plan my day around them at some point, whether it be, okay, I got home from work, I need to get this video uploaded, or I wake up and then I'm kind of thinking, okay, you know, maybe I could have some time, I could try to get the video rendered, and then maybe I could work on the thumbnail at some point and stuff like that. And it just took a lot of time that I feel like could be spent better in other ways, especially when these videos really aren't, you know, doing anything. They're not doing anything for me. They're not doing anything for you. They're not doing anything for anybody. So why should I keep putting so much time into them? So that was really something I thought about a lot, and realized that I need to stop putting this focus on uploading every day, because I could be spending that time better. And there are a lot of things that I said in that last video that kind of tie into this. Like, I want to start working out again, and it would help if I don't have to upload a video every day. I would have more time to do the stuff I want to do if I'm not uploading a video every day, and I could start working out again. Or I could just spend time working on other videos that I think are more meaningful and would serve this channel and my main channel especially better. And so I want to start making more stuff. Even just, it doesn't even have to necessarily be videos, but in terms of like art, I want to start making more stuff. Or maybe I start making a game or something again. Maybe I start going back to that. Or I start making just something personal for myself. But that, I think, is really an important part of all of this, is that it takes time, and it's something I have to fit into my schedule already, when my schedule is already pretty busy, because I want to work out and I want to do, you know, I have to work and I want to write stuff. And so this is really kind of something I think it's a big part of why I feel like I need to kind of stop this. Especially because there are just nights where I don't want to do it, and I'm so tired from work already, and then I have to somehow fit it in, and it ends up making me go to bed late, so then my next morning is kind of fucked, and the cycle just kind of repeats itself. And I think this is a way to cut that out. So, after November 30th, not going to be getting more of these. So, yeah. You're not going to be getting more of these kind of just slop videos, in a sense. And so I forgot, because I wanted to structure this in different ways, and I kind of did that a little weird, and now, like, the phone call really threw me off. But to go kind of back to the start of things, I wanted to talk a little bit more about results-based thinking that I was talking about earlier, where it's just really about the result, and not, or maybe not even result is the right term, but it's really about, like, I need to do this thing every day, and less about what the thing you're doing every day is, or like how you're doing the thing every day. That, I think, is a serious problem that I was running into. And I think it's always kind of been a problem for me, realistically. For example, there's a video I talked about weight loss. And I talked about how sometimes it can be tough because you get on the scale and you gained weight from yesterday. And it's like, well, that fucking sucks. And realistically, you probably don't need to weigh yourself every single day unless it's like really that important. I don't know, like some medical reason or something. You don't need to really weigh yourself every day. And so I feel like it was really discouraging if I got on the scale and it's like, okay, you're like half a pound heavier than you were yesterday. That sucks. But weight loss really, I watched this We Fit video last night, and I thought it was pretty good. And one of the things he really mentioned is, like, We Fit, it wants you to weigh yourself every single day. And, like, it's really more about the trajectory and not about where you are in the moment. Like, when you look at the line and you're looking at, like, the day-to-day and it's going from, like, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, it sucks to look at because it feels like you're going nowhere. But when you look at the trajectory, you're actually going like this. You are going down, but it's just, you know, every day is going to be different. So that is something that's always discouraging for me. And I've obviously had a lot of daily streaks I've talked about before. Like, I've had some pixel art ones that I've failed, and I've had like game dev stuff that I've failed, and you know, this working out stuff, and working out in the past too, I've failed at working out every day. And I think a lot of it ties back to this results-based thinking, or just, I need to do this thing every day, and not thinking about, how am I doing this thing every day? Or how can I improve, how can I keep improving at this thing every day, instead of just going, I'm going to do this thing every day. That's the problem. Because at some point, like I said in a recent video, when you try to practice drawing by drawing a couple scribbles on a page every day. At first, that might be helpful because you can get a sense of how to hold the pen, how to draw lines, how to do curves, how to make certain shapes. But down the line, you're gonna need to evolve from that. You can't keep doing that forever because it's meaningless. It's not gonna help you. It's gonna be marginal improvements. Whereas if you spend more time really trying to draw more than just scribbles, you're going to see more improvement. And I think that this is kind of where it's going. Where it's like, I still should upload stuff consistently, but I should make stuff that has more effort put into it. That's essentially what I'm saying. Finding a balance between consistency and actual effort and interesting ideas and that sort of thing. And I always find that the thing that I always said before is that I feel like I need something tangible. There has to be something there that is tangible for me to really want to do something. And so with this daily uploading thing that was kind of there at the start, it was this passion and this like great feeling like, dude, I'm uploading every day and I've been doing it for 2 weeks and this is awesome. But that tangibility kind of fades after a while. And for me personally, I think that is why it's just so hard to work on things long term sometimes. And I would say like there are plenty of examples of this when it comes to my main channel, because I have so many of these big video projects that I wanted to make for like literally some of them date back years at this point. Like we're talking almost 3 years for one of my projects that I'm planning to make. And a big part of that is that I just feel like I struggle with long-term stuff. And so I want to improve at long-term stuff. And I think the way to move forward with that is by stopping the results-based thinking, stopping the I got to do this everyday task, and instead thinking, how can I keep improving at this? What's my next step to improve? Because, yeah, it's great when, you make some pixel art, you start making a little bit of pixel art, and I drew a cat or something, right? But then it needs to evolve somehow. How can I get better at this? How can I start doing more? I want to make better things. I want to make bigger things. And that requires more time. You can't just bang that out in fucking 5 minutes or something before you go to sleep, before you pass out from work. You can't do that. And so I think I need to really try and hammer those long-term goals more, or at least, medium goals, where it's like I'm making these videos and I'm making them better. And even aside from that, just making stuff that is not super, super crazy, but also stuff that isn't the same as like the slop content. So that's kind of my plan with this this plan. I want to focus more on the process and less on the result, basically. I want to focus more on, okay, I did this today and I am trying to create something good in the medium or long term, and less I made something today that's finished. That's sort of where I'm at. And so, to talk about it, going forward, I'm not going to focus on uploading daily anymore, like I said. I still am just going to upload stuff, and I kind of have a plan to upload maybe a couple things a week here and there. So it's probably not going to be like 7 videos a week, but it might be like 2 or 3 or 4, and sometimes they're just going to be random stuff. Part of what I did when I said I was making this channel was like I had some ideas that maybe aren't full-fledged videos I want to put on my main channel. Maybe I'll just upload them here. And I think I want to go back to that philosophy a lot, and I'm just going to try to upload random stuff and see how it goes. So, you never know what is going to be uploaded on this channel, but I'm just going to upload stuff on top of making these commentaries occasionally. And I'm going to try to make it somewhat consistent. And I do want to keep doing the weekly update video type of thing, where I just talk about my life and how it's been going and things. I don't want that to die. I want to keep making that, so I think that is going to be a thing I do like consistently every week, is just make one of those, and hopefully it'll kind of be something to be consistent, and then I can do my other stuff in the meantime as well. But I want to try and keep my focus on things that are not necessarily like high quality, I would say, but higher quality than the slop. Higher quality than just me sitting here yapping about stuff where I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying. So I want them to be better thought out. And like this video, I also want to start using notes, which I know, like, I guess it makes it feel a little less genuine because I'm not just saying everything that comes out of my fucking mouth, or, everything that's in my head that comes out of my mouth. But it will keep them consistent, and I won't get off track all the time and be like, oh, what was I going to say? I'm trying to remember what I was going to say, and I can't remember. So I still will be using the car, because I don't know. Like I've said in that one video, when I was in my room, I was like, I just feel like I can be myself more when I'm in the car compared to when I'm in my room. And I feel that is very true. So we'll be doing that. And also I'm thinking about if I ever do non-face cam videos, I think I am really going to try to finish that like animated kind of background video type of thing. And maybe put in little bits of more editing as well in these videos. I think that would be a good thing. Because I really just kind of just upload them mostly raw, and I fix some of the audio and all that. And I think I want to try to make the editing a little better. So maybe have some stuff pop up on the screen, or have some, maybe editor's notes or something if I feel I need to clarify something or correct something. Or, I don't know. Well, basically whatever I deem is necessary. But I want these videos ultimately just to be higher quality than what I've been putting out. So that is going to be a big thing. And then I also want to go back to focusing on those main channel videos, like I've been saying forever. I know I keep saying it, but I really do want to focus on the main channel videos now. And now that I'm not doing this daily streak thing anymore, I'll actually have some time to do that and not be like, oh, I gotta upload a video and all that. Fuck. I could edit those out too, but I don't think I'm going to, just because, little bits of being genuine, I guess. I don't know. And also laziness, I guess. But yeah. I want to focus on the main channel again. And I feel like not having to do this all the time, not having to do these daily videos, I think it will ultimately pan out with more time to work on the things that I really care about and the things I'm really passionate about. So that is kind of where I'm going. But I guess to end this, I really wanted to talk about whether this was successful or not. And I do feel like it was successful. I feel like it's just a yes is the answer. Because, as I mentioned, I learned I can upload consistently, and I don't have to constantly be a perfectionist about every little thing. And there are tons of flaws in a lot of these videos, but I made them, and I uploaded them, and they exist, and that's just how they're going to be. They're going to be flawed, but they exist. And it's better than some of those main channel videos that are maybe flawless in my head, but will never exist, or are not going to exist for a long time. So I do think it was successful in that sense. And I also think one of the things that I said before, I got a lot better at speaking on camera. I got way better at speaking, not even just on camera, but even off camera, just talking into my fucking phone. Even in public, I can just say whatever the fuck I want. And it's not as weird as it used to be before. So that is something I think I'm really happy with. I'm also really happy that I really feel like I understood the editing process a little better. I feel like I got much better at the editing process and just kind of doing things repetitively, even though it's very minimal editing, but I did get better in that sense with editing. And I feel like I've started to understand a couple more things. Like, for example, syncing audio. I've been putting a little bit more effort into these. And one of the things I did was I started syncing the audio so that I didn't have to use that audio from that shitty phone, and I could use it from this phone that's closer to me and doesn't pick up as much background noise and all that. And that really was a big deal for me, at least. Being able to understand the editing workflow a little better, because when you do just a bunch of giant projects, it's hard to really get down the editing workflow to an extent. Whereas when you do a bunch of little projects, you really get to understand, like, okay, this is how I'm starting it, this is what I'm doing, this is, blah, blah, blah. That was really a good thing. And I think moving forward, I now know how to make more smaller stuff easier. So that is going to be probably one of the main takeaways I get from this whole daily streak thing. And I also feel like I've started to understand the algorithm a little bit better. Not entirely, obviously. It's not like I'm a fucking algorithm wizard. But I did really learn that making more content doesn't necessarily equal better content, or necessarily, I guess, equal better engagement or whatever in the algorithm. Because it really doesn't. It is really focused on the type of content you make and how you can pull in the viewer. And I feel like I was really lacking in that department. And so now I'm not really gonna be lacking in that department as much anymore, I think, which is good. And I also feel like I really got to see a lot of the problems I have with daily streaks and why I fail at them so much. Because there is that sense of really doing well when you start out. But as it continues, you really understand, I need to not be focusing on these short-term goals as much. I need to not be focusing on, I'm doing this every day. And instead focus on, for example, I am going to work on this for a week and then make this, and it's going to be good. And so that really is where I'm at. I feel like I do need short-term goals, obviously, because I feel like when I have long-term goals, I'm so unfocused. But I think it is really about mixing them and using them to your advantage, because they are both useful, and they're both kind of necessary, I feel, to make a project work at the end of the day. You need to have short-term goals to really understand what you're doing in the moment, but you need to have long-term goals to understand what you're doing in the long term and like where you want to be in the long term. And I feel like that's where I've really fucked up in recent times with this daily upload streak. So I am going to end the streak. I'm not going to upload daily anymore. I think there's far better paths forward for me than doing that. And so this is going to be the last video of that streak, and I think it's good to end it this way, because like I said, I didn't want to end it on the terms of just I was too tired and I didn't want to do it. I wanted to end it on the terms of I'm ending this shit now, and I'm ending it with the purpose, and that's the purpose. So I don't know what the next upload I make is going to be. I don't know necessarily what the plans are. I think I'm still going to keep the commentary thing, but I'm going to have notes from now on, and I'm going to make it far more interesting than it is right now. So hopefully you'll stick around for that. And yeah, with all that said, I am a little tired from yapping. I've been doing a lot of yapping on the phone and in these videos, and I think it's probably time for me to go home and have some Thanksgiving dinner, because God, I'm fucking hungry, dude. Even though I ate like a decent amount this morning, I'm still fucking hungry, man. I'm gonna go home and eat some turkey, I'm gonna eat some stuffing, I'm gonna eat some cranberry sauce. It's gonna be great. So, yeah. I guess I probably will think of a better outro for these at some point. But, you know, for ending the streak, I guess I gotta do it one more time, right? So, yeah, I guess that's it.